Today we're going to be talking about thrillers that are going to keep you on the edge of your seat. Why is Mulholland Drive known as a mind-bending thriller? Which Jake Gyllenhaal movie features in this list? What's so special about David Fincher's Zodiac and Gone Girl? Stick around to the end and we're going to tell you everything you need to know. First up, let's talk about Mulholland Drive. This 2001 thriller directed by David Lynch was initially a failed TV pilot. He turned it into one of the most mind-bending thrillers of all time. It's a saga of isolation and bitterness set in Hollywood Hills. The film has Naomi Watts and Laura Harring in the leading roles. Naomi Watts plays Betty Elms, who is a rather naive wannabe actor. She falls in love with Rita, who's played by Laura Harring. Rita is an amnesiac who's recovering from a mysterious car accident. The plot of the movie revolves around Laura and Rita pursuing the truth about Rita's past. They're forced to peel back glitzy layers from the entertainment industry until they reach horrible truths at the bottom of this mystery. David Lynch, who's known for mind-bending films. This movie has kind of a dream logic to it. It is perpetually open to interpretation at every corner. Fans are still talking about whether it's a dream or whether it's all set in reality. Here's the issue with the movie though. It's an enigmatic puzzle. The first scene, which is set at Winkies, is a great example of a jump scare done exactly right. Though it's set in daylight and takes place in the middle of the city, it's every bit the heart-stopping shocker we want. Then there's Betty's surreal audition, which reveals a side to her that's just enthralling. The character Betty is supposed to represent a fresh-off-the-bus, aspiring actor who is destined to be forgotten. Her story shows the cruelty and indifference of the movie industry. The second film we're going to look at is Old Boy. Old Boy is a 2003 South Korean neo-noir action thriller directed by Park Chan-wook. It's an adaptation of the Japanese manga. The premise is that Oh Dae-soo, who is played by the most versatile actor Choi Min-sik, was imprisoned in a cell that resembled a hotel room for 15 years without knowing the identity of his captor or his captor's motives. Even after he's released, he's trapped in a web of conspiracy and violence. He embarks on a quest for vengeance. However, it gets complicated when he falls in love with a young sushi chef. It's been regarded as one of the best neo-noir films of all time and listed among the best films of the 2000s in several publications. It's also received praise for its action sequences, most notably the single-shot fight sequence. This one-take fight scene in the hallway where the protagonist fights off an army of killers using only a hammer is the most famous scene in Old Boy. But the finale is a part that's really gonna stick in your craw. The movie's been praised as the perfect revenge movie. Director Park Chan-wook was inspired by Greek tragedy while making this movie. The main character was named Oh Dae-soo to draw parallels with King Oedipus. You can definitely see the similarities between the movie and Greek tragedy. The movie is over the top, and it's ruthless and unexpectedly poignant. Old Boy is one of the most unforgettable thrillers. Seriously. Roger Ebert gave the movie 4 out of 5 stars. His review stated, "We're so accustomed to thrillers that exist only as machines for creating a diversion that it's a shock to find a movie in which the action, however violent, makes a statement and has a purpose." Try to watch the original Korean version of the film if you can. The Hollywood and Bollywood remakes don't quite live up to the high standards of the original. In third place, we have the masterfully made thriller Zodiac. Zodiac is a 2007 American mystery thriller film directed by David Fincher. It was based on the non-fiction books by Robert Graysmith called Zodiac and Zodiac Unmasked. The film tells a story of the manhunt for the Zodiac Killer, a serial murderer who terrorized the San Francisco Bay Area during the late 1960s and also the early 1970s. He taunted police with letters, blood-stained clothing, and ciphers mailed to newspapers. The real-life murder spree of the Zodiac Killer never had a satisfying conclusion in real life, but in the hands of David Fincher, that's what makes the story so hypnotic. Jake Gyllenhaal plays cartoonist Robert Graysmith. Robert Downey Jr. plays crime reporter Paul Avery, and Mark Ruffalo plays detective Dave Toschi, who dedicated their lives to solving the mysterious murders and decoding the killer's cat-and-mouse letters to the newspaper and finding only obsession and possibly ruin as their rewards. Director Fincher and the producer spent 18 months conducting their own investigation and research into the Zodiac murders. Zodiac is everything a thriller could be. It's a harrowing catalog of the killer's murders. It's an insightful drama about obsession. It's a detail-oriented history of a riveting investigation. And in the end, although the film never comes out and says that they solved the puzzle, it leads to an absolutely terrifying sequence as one of our heroes finds himself closer than ever to a resolution. Roger Ebert gave the film a maximum of 4 stars, writing, "The film is a police procedural crossed with a newspaper movie, but free of most of the cliches of either. Its most impressive accomplishment is to gather a bewildering labyrinth of facts and suspicions over a period of years and make the journey through this maze frightening and suspenseful. Intelligent and absolutely enthralling, Zodiac isn't just one of the best thrillers of the century so far, it's one of the best movies of the century so far." In fourth place, we have Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is another amazing movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal. Though the movie was released in 2014, it evokes memories of movies from the 1970s. This neo-noir psychological thriller film was written and directed by Dan Gilroy. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Louis Bloom, a stringer who records violent events late at night night in Los Angeles and sells the footage to local television news stations. The theme of the movie is the symbiotic relationship between unethical journalism and consumer demand. It is a spiteful and illuminating thriller about an enthusiastic young monster who discovers that you can make a lot of money by filming car crashes and selling the tapes to the local news. And you can make a lot more by filming crime scenes. But only if you can get there first. What's a surefire way to get to a crime scene before anybody else does? The moral devastation at the heart of Nightcrawler, though, evokes the classic cinema of the 1970s. Everything from Taxi Driver to Network, but this film feels uncomfortably contemporary. Sure, the news industry has always had dark corners, and there have always been people willing to do terrible things for money. But Gyllenhaal's anti-hero, Louis Bloom, really represents an increasingly ugly generation of young male Americans who are eager to take what they think is rightfully theirs, as though their avarice alone makes them deserving, and as though their shocking inhumanity isn't an obvious deal breaker. Gyllenhaal is horrifyingly hypnotic as one of the most distinctive and piercing thrillers of its kind. Lastly, we're gonna take a look at Gone Girl. Gone Girl is another David Fincher classic. This 2014 psychological thriller film was based on the novel titled Gone Girl. This movie is set in Missouri, and it is a postmodern mystery that follows the events surrounding Nick Dunn, or Ben Affleck, who becomes the prime suspect of the sudden disappearance of his wife, Amy, played by Rosamund Pike. The film has masterful performances by Ben Affleck, who plays Nick, and Rosamund Pike, who plays Amy, also known as Amazing Amy. The first half of Gone Girl is an engine of suspense as different revelations emerge about Nick and Amy's marriage, and Nick makes seemingly innocent but highly suspicious decisions, and the multimedia firestorm consumes him and everybody he knows, but needless to say, there's more to the story. And Gone Girl leads to a drastic story twist and dramatic recontextualizations of everything we've seen before. Everything about Gone Girl just clicks. It's certainly one of David Fincher's finest movies, and yeah, that's saying something. But the pieces are all held in place by Pike's instantly iconic, Oscar-nominated, revelatory performance. The movie goes into the nature of love, but Fincher doesn't spell this out for the viewer because he relies on more subtle subtext and isn't known for making message movies. But the core of Gone Girl is Amy's desire to have back the man that she married, who tried so hard to win her, and then gave up trying after he won, and a 7-year itch set in. She wants Nick to rediscipline himself and act like a good husband, not only for the cameras outside their house, but also for her again. Gone Girl isn't a popcorn film. It's a movie with some meat to it, about a top-shelf anti-hero who demands nothing less than what she was promised when her husband first wooed her, and they exchange their wedding vows. In the way of a jealous goddess, Amy teaches both Nick and the audience a lesson. And that's all we have for you. These 5 movies are some of the best thrillers ever made, so what are your favorite thrillers? Has Hollywood stopped making such thrillers? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you later.